Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 5 of our Powerhouse Conversations. I'm just going to take a moment so that we can go live on Instagram as well. All right. Come on, Instagram. All right, here we go. Okay. Here we go. All right. So, our topic for today is about why doing more is often the exact thing keeping actors stuck. And I know that what I'm about to say is counterintuitive for some of us. It goes against a lot of the advice that we hear. But if your instincts lately has been to push harder, to take another class, to submit more, to ask your agent to submit you more, to post more, to fix one more thing, this conversation is for you. So I hope that you will tune in and get some relief from what I'm about to share. So first, I just want to say that most of the actors who I work with are not lazy at all. They are not afraid of hard work. They come into this career knowing that it's going to be a challenging career to really create. That's not the problem. But they are exhausted and they are a bit demoralized because all of the work that they've put in has not yielded results for them. And so that's kind of the starting place for this conversation. So I just want to call out what I think is the invisible trap here, and that is that actors equate marketing with administrative work. When I say, oh, yeah, help actors with the business side of an acting career, people assume that I mean stuff like fixing your website and polishing your materials and branding and retouching headshots. And sure, all of that is necessary at some point. But if no one is receiving what you're doing, it's not actually marketing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's time wasted. If no one's on the other end, you are not moving forward. You're just staying busy. You're just burning yourself out. You're just wasting money. You're just expending energy. And all of this is energy that as artists, you need to conserve and you need to dedicate to something that's going to actually move you forward. So the standard acting advice, the standard business of acting advice breaks down here. Effort does not equal progress. Most of the advice that you're going to see out there assumes that actors just aren't doing enough, that we're just not showing up the way we should. We're just not doing the things that we should, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no. Most actors are doing plenty, just not in ways that produce results. So the core distinction here is that there is a difference between work that's necessary and work that actually moves the needle. And this is where most actors accidentally confuse responsibility with results. Okay, so I'm not saying that all that administrative stuff isn't necessary. Yeah, we have to do it. But that's stuff that shouldn't be taking up the majority of our time. It's stuff that we can trade, we can delegate even. Like, we don't even have to do all that stuff ourselves. I'm talking here about work that actually moves the needle, that actually is going to help you at the end of this year say that you have a different career than you have now. So what I want to talk to you now is about the distinction between these two types of activities. So for the sake of this conversation, and this is how I talk about it with the members of my community at the table and my clients, there's a difference between paper pushing activities and power moves. So paper pushing activities are things that are necessary, but very administrative, very focused on polishing, very focused on research. They're not results producing on their own. So when we think of things like updating your website or tweaking your reel one more time, putting a different clip first, or shortening it or adding a clip that you just got or whatever. Practicing self tapes, ordering a new backdrop, refining whatever, preparing something else. Paper pushing keeps things ready, but it doesn't make things happen. So, to give you an example, I can tweak my website all day, but if nobody actually sees my website, what difference does that make? None at all. Yet I could spend hours and weeks and months getting this website to perfection. So, on the other hand, we have power moves. Power moves are what I call results producing activities. They usually involve other people. They require sharing, they require asking, they require engaging. And they usually create a response on the other end, which makes them more scary because we're actually putting ourselves out there and receiving a result fairly quickly. The great thing about power moves is that once we get in the habit of doing them, they become easier, first of all. You start to see, oh, this stuff actually works, and it starts to become like kind of exciting. But then also, when something doesn't work, you can course correct and do something else. And so things keep moving. So you don't get in the place where months have passed and nothing has changed because you've had the opportunity to try a power move, get some feedback, course correct, do something else. So here I'm talking about things like reaching out to agents, other representatives. I'm talking about things like attending casting workshops and starting a relationship with a casting director. I'm talking about sending thank you notes after you see someone speak or after you have an audition. I'm talking about sharing your work publicly and getting feedback on that. I'm talking about doing personal outreach. So again, a power move usually involves another human being. So when I say this, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, that sounds scary. But the even scarier thing is the fact that you can do a lot of hustling, you can do a lot of work, and it can make you feel like you're moving forward, but you can be digging an even deeper hole for yourself. More hustle can deepen mispositioning. That's the really scary part. Because what happens is that actors, and I've seen this with myself, I've seen this with clients, we tend to stack paper pushing when we feel stuck, right? It creates this sense of safety where we're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know exactly what to do, or I'm kind of afraid to take this action, so I'm just going to do more of this over here. More noise, more preparation, more research, less signal. So I just want you to hear this, and that is that polishing without sharing doesn't create traction, it delays it. Practicing a self tape is paper pushing. Of course, we want to do that. We want to have a self tape ritual. We want our self tapes to be fire. But sharing that self tape where people can see it turns it into a power move, right? Turning that self tape into a clip that you can upload onto your casting profiles and use with your submissions. That's going to be a power move. So I want to tie this back to time because we do not have unlimited time. We're getting a day older every day, and none of us is immortal yet. And we want to make the most of the time that we have here. When we're in activity, we feel like we're being responsible with time. But the fact is that we're filling our precious time and we're avoiding decisions. We're avoiding the things that are actually going to move us forward. So contrast that with traction, where we're actually creating leverage, we're changing perception, and traction compounds. So if we think about activity versus traction, sure, we want to do the activities that are power moves. We want to stay engaged. But we also just don't want to be busy for the sake of being busy. Being busy stretches time. Power moves compress time. Okay. So I also want to acknowledge that this is not easy. There is a layer of avoidance that can creep up here when we're talking about really diving into power moves versus paper pushing activity. Paper pushing and administrative work and research and all that stuff feels safer than clarity. We can hide behind these activities that we hear we should be doing instead of facing the reality of how we are perceived. Clarity demands deciding on who you're targeting, choosing what to stop doing, and also risking visibility, putting yourselves out there. The reframe here is that we need to acknowledge that staying busy protects us from having to choose. It protects us from having to do all of these scary things. And that's just a nervous system thing. That's our bodies protecting ourselves. That's what they're supposed to do. So we can acknowledge that, and then we can still move forward. So this is a solution. It's not a checklist, it's a lens. There's one simple filter that I want you to use, and that is this a polishing move? Is this a researching move? Is this a paper pushing activity? Or is it a power move? Another question you can ask yourself is, if I do this today, will anyone else be involved? Is this going to impact anyone else, another human being? So get this message. I am not telling you to stop paper pushing. Again, these are necessary actions. I'm telling you to pair them with a power move. Because paper pushing without power moves just doesn't work. And power moves without preparation for them don't work either. It's the pairing that creates the momentum. I also just want to say that this isn't about doing less forever. It's about doing fewer things with purpose. So if you're in a place where you're just feeling a little tired and you realize that pushing harder hasn't worked for you yet, know that it's not a personal failure at all. It's just information. And the shift isn't more effort. It's choosing actions that actually produce results. So I hope that reframe is helpful for you. I got an amen from Tony, so I'll take it. So thanks for checking out this episode of Powerhouse Conversations. I will drop some resources for you in the YouTube video of this training. So head over there and grab those. And I'll see you next week. Next week will be at our regular time on Tuesday at 9. Bye.